Welcome all, Bern here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook, looking at the DXY on the daily. This has worked out great because we've now broken the ending point of this wave A in this wave C down. It's anyone's guess how far this one will go down. But, the first target I'd be looking at is that 100 pip and then possibly down to this 161.8. So, I mean, it's a bit late to be selling. We've already broken this ending point of wave A, so on the H4, we got the 5 down. We had that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, and I was sort of looking for a larger correction here. It kept on going down, so we may get an extended wave 5. So if we go down to the H1, and this is what I mean, so I'd be looking for 5 down in here. We got a wave 1, 2, 3, get a wave 4 and a wave 5 down, extended wave 5. So really, if you wanted to trade it, you could wait until this wave 4 is over and then trade that wave 5 down. AU, looking for this A, B, and this C up. It's very slow down the bottom here. Is starting to go now, yeah, you really need to wait for a wave 2 here. On the H1, we get a wave 1, you wait for a wave 2, and then you trade either a C or a wave 3. So really need a nice correction in here before I'd start to look for a buy. This is starting to get very choppy on the lower time frame. So, it's only a matter of time before we get this correction and then look for a buy. GU, we're looking for this, 100 fib. It has broken the ending point of wave A, like I mentioned last week. We got the 5 up on this one as well. On the H4, we got that like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With the bearish divergence, we had this nice impulse down, and I was sort of looking for a correction in here to get 3 down and then give us another 5 up. But it's, impulse down, impulse up. So we are getting a correction, but not a simple ABC. So now anything, there's so many different patterns that could happen here. We could get a correction in here and get 3 up, breaking that top, then get like a running flat or an expanding flat before we get 5 up, another 5 up. Or it could, come down here and give us a 3 down in here before we get an A, a B, and a C, and then like an A, a B, a C before we get another 5 up. So there's quite a few different scenarios here. We don't know what sort of correction we're going to get here, but I expect, I expect to see a correction. At this stage on the H1, it is still a B wave. We got a nice impulse down, although this is looking rather impulsive. It's sort of 3 waves up in here. 1, 2, 3. So you could wait for a wave 4 in here and trade a wave 5 up. And, it's pretty risky this, but yeah. EU finally gone and broken the top. It hadn't done that last week. So now we've got an A, a B, and a C. We're breaking that top. Ideally, we get to this 100 pip, or it may even get to the 161.8. we'll never know how far this will go. Ideally, it gets to this first target, that 100 pip though, on the daily. Very similar to the others. H4, we had the 5 up, and we're still in that wave 5 on this. So, I'd be expecting a larger correction, and then you could look for a buy. Until you got this, it's already got the 5 up, so I wouldn't be buying up here. I'd wait. You really need to wait for a correction, and then, you can start to look for buys again. As for the sells, there is no sells on it. Yep. And you looking for that A, B, and we get this C up. I might have to adjust my fib here. Yep, we got a lower low there, so we are coming from a fresh low. This should give us a nice opportunity to get in, and I'd be targeting this 100 fib. First targeting that 100 fib. So like I've been mentioning for the last, fair few weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, this was looking very corrective, and I was looking for this to go and break the low. It's done that. Now we've got a nice impulse up. So, yep, we just wait for a nice correction, and then we buy. It's as simple as that. GY, like I've been mentioning for a long time, I don't like this, because we had that sorry, if you've been following me for a while, I've been telling you to keep out. Well, I've been keeping out of this. We had that A, B, C in here after this impulse. So I was looking for a C down. That never happened. So we're getting a lot more complex correction. If I go down to the lower time frame, looking at that is very choppy. Get a C down in here, then we can get an A, B, C in here. A, B, C, before we get an A, B, C, before we get the larger, fall, so yeah, this is pretty difficult to trade, and they're really, it's really not worth trading it. You could look for a buy in here. You may have missed it already, but we've got a nice impulse up from a low. You got a correction, if you get something small on the lower time frames Monday, you could look for the buy, and for at least an A, B, C. But it's really just scalping this pair, because I don't think this will go up and break the top. Looking at the daily, we really need another one down here before we need 3 down, and then I'd be looking to break the top. At this stage, I'm not looking for it to break the top. UY, we had that A, B, C up in here. Had that impulse there. So, this has nearly come down and break that low. Ideally, it does. And then I could start looking for a buy. Until that really happens, it's, more than likely there's more downside in this. We're getting lower lows, but we aren't getting any bullish divergence on the MACD. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get more downside. We may get a little correction and more downside. H1, we were looking at the ABC in here, and it gave us 5 down, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I was thinking we get a correction here, so we still may get that, and this turns into a flat here before we get another 5 down. You may get a buy on this. You could look for a buy. It's probably more on the lower time frame, but yeah. See, on the M5, we've probably got 1, 2, 3. You get a wave 4 and you trade a wave 5 up. And then if you got a larger correction in here, you could look for another 5 up. Yeah, it's really just scalping, you know. USD CAD, I was looking for something a little bit more complex up here. But either way, we're pretty much staying out of this because, you know, like I've been mentioning, I'm waiting for that time factor. We got that 1, 2, 3. We're waiting for that wave 4 time factor, and then we trade that wave 5 up. I was sort of looking for one up in here, which is this one here, and then give us another one down, you know. But yeah, it's fallen over. I believe I mentioned this last week. I said you got to be really careful with this because we had that bear hidden here, and it's gone and broken the low. So, and now we're starting to get bullish divergence. So I wouldn't be looking for the sell. I'd be looking for a buy, but there is no buy setup yet. Even on the lower time frames, there's no buy set up. The Swissy has come down and broke the lows. So now how I have to look at this as a running flat. I'll have to change account, but I'd be looking at this impulse here and then an A, B, C, D, E. A running flat. Sorry, not a running flat, a running triangle. So then we get an A, B, and a C. So a running triangle, you know, it goes beyond that wave A. This wave A here. And then it turns into the triangle like. So that's what I'm thinking now. And then we get this this A, a B, and we're in this wave C. And it may turn motive. Like we don't know how far this will go. Ideally, you know, it gives us a decent correction in here to look for a sell. You know, I wasn't looking for this to break this low. I was more looking for a correction in here for a C up. And that never played out. It did come down and break all the lows, and like I said, we're looking at that as a running triangle. And this is motive. There's really not much you can do on this now, you know. But H4, we got no bullish divergence. H1, we got no bullish divergence. So you're pretty much leaving it alone. You may get a scalp buy on the lower time frames, but it'll just be a scalp. EG, we were waiting for this to go, and it has. You know, we've been waiting for this to go for a very long time. You know, all through here, we were looking for this. We had that like A, B, C in here. We had that impulse up. I wasn't really looking at that. I was more looking at an A, B, C here up to that 100 pip. But like I mentioned last week, we're in a wave 3 now on the daily. So there's only one thing to do now, and that is to wait for a wave 4, and then you trade the wave 5 up. You know, there's no sell set up on this on the lower time frames either. There's nothing to suggest that this wave 3 is over. So just got to be patient if you want to get into this. You got to wait for that wave 4, and then trade that wave 5 up. So I did change my count on this WTI because starting to look messy. So I'm looking at this A, a B, and a C, and we got like a running flat in here. Getting this C down, it can come down to this 100 fib still. So there is a little bit more room in it to the downside. So I'm really looking at the H4 to see if we'll get a wave for. So I'm really looking for a wave 4 in here, and then I'll be looking for a wave 5 down, and then I could start to load up at the low, the buys. Yeah, there's really not much else you could do with this either. I mean, unless you're going to scalp it in this wave 4. You know, at this stage, we're still in this wave 4. And be very careful with the buys. We have a bear hidden here. So, yeah. Oh, that's not meant to be on that time frame. So gold, we're still in that wave 3. We got that 1, 2. We're in this wave 3. We wait for that wave 4, and then we trade the wave 5 up. Again, there's really not much you can do with this. We did lose the bearish divergence. Well, we never actually had it. Like I've been mentioning, we lost all the bearish divergence. We had a bull hidden in here, and that bull hidden's played out, and we've broken the top. And even after we've broken the top, we still lost the divergence again. So you could wait for a correction and look for a buy on this one, but you're buying right at the top of the market. But yeah, that's about all you could do with this. You still can buy, but yeah, just be careful at the top. So silver, we got the 5 up. We had like 1, 2, 3 down in here, 1, 2, 3 up, and then we got this impulse down, breaking that low. So that's fine. Starting to get an impulse here, but again, you got to be very careful because we may get a bear hidden. Like this may keep on going up, and not break that top, and we get a bear hidden here, and it comes down and breaks the low again. So we got to wait for a nice correction. And I'd be looking at it on the H1. Like we got a nice impulse up, 1, 2, we're in a wave 3. So you wait for the wave 4, and then you trade that wave 5 up. Bitcoin, well, we've just been looking at this last section here. Excuse me. We got the 5 up in here. We're getting a very deep correction, so that's fine. We are starting to get bullish divergence on the H4, so that's good sign. The thing that I don't like about this is it didn't come from a low. If I explain that, this is the low here, not here. So we got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up in here with bearish divergence. In my daily outlooks, that's all I was looking for, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because this wave in here was so deep to this. A possible wave 5 up in here. Yeah, we're already getting that bearish divergence, so yeah, you have to be careful with the buy. You may get a scalp or something out of it, on the M15. This is looking rather, bullish in here, but it's just a scalp to go and break the top. There's really not much you can do with it at this stage, other than scalp. So S&P 500, we've had a nice impulse down. So again, there's so many different structures that this could be, like corrective structures. Um, um, but we can get just 3 up and then 3 down, like 1, 2, 3 down. Or it may turn more complex. Like it may give us a nice impulse up in here, a correction, then go up and break the top in 3 waves, give us some sort of a running or expanding flat, and then go up and break the top. At this stage, we don't know what sort of correction we're going to get. I'm really looking for a wave pipe down on the H4. We don't have bearish hidden yet, but we may get a bear hidden in here and give us that wave pipe down. Be very careful with this, yeah. This is a fast mover. So yeah. See, I was on the H1, I was looking for a wave pipe down in here to break that low, to finish off this wave 3 on the H4. It never played out. Instead, this is like a 1, 2, 3 wave 4, and we're getting wave 5 up here now. Like I said, be very careful, because we may get that bear hidden on the H4, and then it comes down and falls over and breaks the low. So yeah, it's really just scalping, and it's the same with all the indices at this stage. Very similar. AU200 is very similar, although this one didn't get down to the 100 fib. It's more of an A, B, C this, but really need to break that top in an impulsive wave and then get a correction, and you could look for a buy. We haven't got that, so it's really just scalping. This may do the same as what S&P done and give us another one up in here for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It may go up and close that gap and then fall over and break the low again. So yeah, it's just scalping. Same with the FTSE. We got the nice impulse down from the low, from the high, and it's like I showed on the S&P 500. There's so many different structures here. It could be correction on the daily. You'll never know in advance. At this stage, H4, I'd be looking 1, 2, 3, get a wave 4 in here. More than likely, we'll get a bear hidden in here, and we'll get a wave 5 down. So again, very similar to the other indices. And lastly, the DAX, very similar to the others as well. But this one here is a little bit different because we do have that bull hidden here. This can go up and break that top. We never broke this low, like I mentioned last week and probably the week before. Actually, I'll have to check it again. Yeah, no, it never broke the low, this low here. So we do have that bull hidden there. This one can go and break that top. Looking at the H4, you got to be careful because, it may be the same as the other indices and you just get another one up in here breaking that top and then it falls over, breaking the low, and then, we get a bear hidden in here and then a bullish divergence and then a nice buy setup. So, yeah, if you're buying in here, just be careful, be at break even at the break of that top. Yeah. So I hope you got something out of this weekly outlook. If you did, please hit the like button, share and subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.